Okay, am I going crazy? I might have just lost my mind because you guys gotta let me know. Does my story fit this at all? Is this about this guy who lives this double life? At this point, I've heard a whole gambit of different Bob Dylan tracks from the 60s, the 70s, and even his most recent releases. This is a track from 1965 from the very famous album Highway 61 Revisited, where I think he was probably at one of his artistic peaks. He was putting out game-changing track and album after game-changing track and album. Now, when asked about this track, he said that it's about people who ask me questions, which is a very Bob Dylan answer, and apparently owes this rhythmic piano part to the Ray Charles track I Believe to My Soul. Here we go, let's check out this track, Ballad of a Thin Man. Bob Dylan's Ballad of a Thin Man.
You walk into the room with your pencil in your hand.
Very eerie.
You see somebody naked and you say, who is that man? You try so hard, but you don't understand.
He started laughing.
Just what you will say when you get home.
Interesting. I'm going to back that up a little bit. I like the atmosphere that's being built. It's very eerie, like something kind of dirty is happening. But I want to catch that and make sure I heard it right. I think that was him kind of chuckling to himself. That's interesting. Okay, and just to get into the lyrics just a little bit, is he talks about you walk into a room with your pencil in your hand. So he's talking about a reporter here. And when he says you see somebody naked, he's probably referring to himself there. He's saying he used to give these really big press conferences that I've seen. I guess he's speaking about that, where he's standing there kind of naked in front of everyone in a metaphorical sense, right? And you say, who is that man? Meaning like he's already aggressive towards him. Kind of what I'm reading into. Let's see how this rolls out. But I want to catch that laugh.
With your pencil in your hand, you see somebody naked and you say, who is that man? You try so hard, but you don't understand just what you will say when you get home. Because something is happening here, but you don't know what it is. Do you, Mr. Jones?
Love that.
You raise up your head,
swirling noise,
and you ask, is this where it is? Then somebody points to you and says, it's his. And you say, what's mine? And somebody else says, well, what is? And you say, oh my God, am I here all alone? But something is happening and you don't know what it is.
Okay, I'm going to take his line here for the truth, right? I always think Dylan's music is got layers to it and different sides or perspectives that you can take from it. So I feel like something else is happening in terms of the track and the music, especially the fact that he's laughing and he says something's happening here. So this idea of this reporter, and he says you raise up your head and you ask, is this where it is? And somebody points to you and says it's his. And you say, what's mine? And somebody else says, well, what is? So is this him speaking to Dylan? Or is this something else that's happening, right? Dylan has this kind of way of never answering the reporter's questions. So is this the back and forth he has with Dylan? And you say, oh my God, am I here alone? Interesting, especially with the eerie swirling noise in the back. It sounds like organs maybe happening too. Something eerie is happening.
Do you, Mr. Jones?
Love that.
You hand in your ticket and you go watch the geek, who immediately walks up to you when he hears you speak and says, how does it feel to be such a freak? And you say impossible as he hands you a bone and Something is happening here, but you don't know what it is.
Something is happening.
Mr. Jones.
The tale is unraveling. Okay, this is obviously not just about a reporter. I think it's like a dual story about a guy who's like attending like some kind of weird get together, maybe. Because now the first verse takes a new meaning. You walk into your room with your pencil in your hand. What does he mean by that now? Because obviously, if he's talking about a reporter, you see somebody naked and you say, who is that man? So he's like, maybe, okay, this is a crazy take. Is he talking about like some kind of weird like parties, these kind of freaky eyes wide shut kind of parties that Mr. Jones attends? His dual life that he lives. Because he's saying, but you don't know what it is, do you, Mr. Jones? Interesting. And this idea, you hand in your ticket and you go watch The Geek. You hand in your ticket, like, so you've been like invited to this thing. It could just be a guy at a Bob Dylan press conference. I don't know.
You have many contacts among the lumberjacks to get you facts when someone attacks your imagination. But nobody has any respect. Anyway, they already expect you to all give a check to tax-deductible charity organization.
Okay, let's break this one down. Let's break this what he just said. You have many contacts among the lumberjacks. I wonder what he means by that. To get you facts when someone attacks your imagination. So is he speaking about having like hitmen or like people who can rough you up when someone attacks your imagination, but nobody has any respect anyway? They already expect you to all give a check to tax-deductible charity organizations as you've been with the professors. Okay, this is the thing with Dylan lyrics, like you never know what exactly he's talking about. He goes from like esoteric to real life quite often.
You've been with the professors and they've all liked your looks. With great lawyers you have discussed lepers and crooks. You've been through all of F. Scott Fitzgerald's books. You're very well read, it's well known. But something is happening here and you don't know what it is. Do you, Mr. Jones?
Okay, just to refresh what he's just said here, he's kind of describing a man of the system, maybe. I don't think he's talking about himself here. To give a check to tax-deductible charity organizations. So, like, maybe like a ruse to keep, like, your real intentions at bay, possibly. Back it up a little bit, sorry. Here we go.
Mr. Jones.
Mr. Jones? What are you up to, mate?
Well, the sword swallower, he comes up to you and then he kneels. He crosses himself and then he clicks his high heels. And without further notice, he asks you how it feels. And he says, here is your throat back, thanks for the loan.
Okay, am I going crazy? Bob Dylan's music makes me sometimes lose my mind in a good way. As the track goes on, it's becoming less and less kind of the ruse of it being not about like a freaky party kind of starts to go away. Well, the sword swallower, he comes up to you. I mean, you don't have to be a genius to know what sword swallower can be a reference to. He then kneels, he crosses himself, and then he clicks his high heel. So he's talking about a cross-dresser. And without further notice, he asks you how it feels. And he says, here is your throat back. I mean, dude, Mr. Jones is getting down freaky, right? You know what the funniest thing is, right? He's disguised a track about these reporters who keep bugging him as like he's outed them as these like freaky guys. I think he was like maybe sitting one day at his house and thinking like, these guys are pestering me with these questions. How can I get back at them? I wonder what they do when they get home, which he says here, when you get home. and he imagines them as taking part in these weird kind of eyes wide shut parties. It's genius. It's genius what he's done here. It's like he's making fun of them in front of their face without them knowing, and he's got it past like maybe censorship ideals at the time by making it a dual story. This is what I'm getting from it.
And you know something is happening, but you don't know what it is. Do you, Mr. Jones? Now you see this one-eyed midget shouting the word now, and you say, for what reason? And he says, how? And you say, what does this mean? And he screams back, you're a cow. Give me some milk or else go home.
Dude, this is why he's so brilliant, right? It fits both stories about this guy who's part of the system, who seems to be always asking Dylan questions, and he seems to have contacts in shady places and knows all about Scott Fitzgerald's books, so he can mingle with the professors. But at the same time, I don't know about you, but this is becoming quite an overt reference to like a crazy, kind of sex party or something. Because, okay, now you see this one-eyed midget. I mean, in what world is he not speaking about like someone's nether regions here? And especially with this line here, he says, give me some milk or else I go home. I mean, in the other reference in the story, what could he be talking about here? He says, and you say, what does this mean? And he screams back, you're a cow, give me some milk or else go home. Okay, so he's having an argument with the person and he's calling him names. So that's how he's disguised it to me almost in this idea of this argument. This is genius, man.
And you know something's happening, but you don't know what it is. Do you, Mr. Jones? Well, you walk into the room like a camel, and then you frown. You put your eyes in your pocket and your nose on the ground. There ought to be a law against you coming around. You should be made to wear earphones.
The details of his writing, right? You put your eyes in your pocket. Okay, two things. Again, the duality of the meanings. This is just legit bars, yeah? You put your eyes in your pocket, meaning that you're going to choose to not be nosy in this situation and look at the things that are going on around you. You're going to put your eyes in your pocket. Again, if he's talking in the real world reporter sense, is this guy is not telling the truth as a journalist. In the idea of that this is like a sex party, he's not being nosy, there's some crazy shit going on, and he's putting his eyes in his pocket. Also a reference to glasses. You put your eyes in your pocket and your nose to the ground, right? You're not going to be staring at the things around you. As a journalist, not looking at the truth, or in an eyes wide shut party, not looking at the business going on. There will be a law against you coming around. You should be made to wear earphones. Okay, interesting. Okay, let's see how he ends it.
Cause something is happening and you don't know what it is. Do you, Mr. Jones?
Even that chorus has layers. Wow. Dylan's genius in full display, if you ask me, man. Okay, I might have just lost my mind because you guys gotta let me know. Does my story fit this at all? Is this about this guy who lives this double life and he's like making fun of these reporters who are freaks themselves, you can say. He even says freak at one point, doesn't he? Speak, yeah. How does it feel to be such a freak? So he's accusing Dylan of being a freak, and he hears you speak and says, yeah, there you go, right? In this part, Mr. Jones is a reporter and he's asking Dylan these questions and getting on his nerves, which you've seen Dylan in press conferences have these exchanges. But at the same time, he's the freaky one. Mr. Jones is the freaky one. And I didn't catch this in the first one. As he hands you a bone, Okay, in the dual crazy storyline, in the secondary crazy storyline, and he hands you a bone. I mean, what does that mean? He's obviously like giving pleasures to another gentleman, as should we say? Okay, you guys have to let me know if I've lost my mind here, because it's Dylan writing, and it can be taken a million different ways. This is the way I've taken it, but nevertheless, a really brilliant track. Even the chorus, dude, it just as the story ends, it takes on a new light of what could be happening here. As I was saying, a journalist who's been bought out by the powers to be, but there's something happening here, but you don't know what it is, do you, Mr. Jones? The idea that he keeps his eyes to the ground and his pocket in his eyes in his pocket, right, and his nose to the ground. He's not going to be paying attention to the truth. Or it takes the other connotation, which is obviously of this creepy, freaky parties that this dude attends. But there's something is happening here, but you don't know what it is. You know, you keep up this lie. You pretend like you don't know what's happening. Anyway, it's Dylan, man. He's got me going. Bars, lyrics, genius. Until the next one. Catch you guys later.